Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, OK, good afternoon. So my name is Giordano, but I know it's kind of difficult for Americans, so you can call me Gio, or if you prefer, you can also call me Mario. It's a me. So I'm Italian, and you know what you get when you put an Italian on a symphony hall stage. So far, you know that my name is Giordano, I'm Italian, and I'm an idiot. But I actually have some interesting stuff for you today. So today, I'm going to talk about cross-platform games, and in particular, cross-platform social and mobile games. And my job at PopCap is to manage the Bejeweled business. And Bejeweled has been a cross-platform game for a while. In fact, Bejeweled has been around for a very long time. Bejeweled was the first PopCap game 12 years ago, which in gaming here is probably like 160 years. And I think the most important reason why Bejeweled is still successful is because the game has been able to adapt with time. Bejeweled launched as a web game, then it became a download game, and then it went to mobile and console, etc., and went multi-platform, which was a very big inflection point for PopCap. Then, in 2008, Bejeweled went social. Bejeweled Blitz launched on Facebook. And in 2009, Bejeweled Blitz launched also on iOS, and Bejeweled became a cross-platform game. And you see some numbers there. I think probably the most relevant is the MAU. On platforms where we can track usage, that's not all the platforms, just the one where we know that people are playing. About 25 million people play Bejeweled every month. The last one also, in 12 years, we estimate that about 500 million people have played Bejeweled, which is either a number that we come out in our research or something that our PR department made up. But yeah, one of the two, or both. So change. I say that change has been very important for Bejeweled. And I think the last 3 years have been the most change that we have seen in 12 years of Bejeweled. And I would like to start today by talking about some of the trends that have been driving and are driving this change, and the trends that are going to get cross-platform, mobile, and social to become one of the biggest opportunities in game. The first one is simple market size. When Bejeweled launched, there were less than 100 million gamers. And I can say, because I was one of them, we were mostly male, young, living in playing in our basement with questionable hygiene and all the stuff that you know. And now there are more than 1 billion people playing games. And most of these people are playing games on casual platforms, web casual, social, mobile. Well, if you look at these numbers, if you look at this data, I don't think it's crazy to say that in a few years, 3, 4, 5 years, there will be 3, 4 billion people playing games. And the vast majority of them will be on mobile and social. So the first one is size. But size is not the only trend that I think is driving this revolution. Demographics, again, we used to be mostly young and male. Now, if you look at a split male and female, well, there are still more male than female, but it's evening out. In a couple of years, there will be the same number of male and female playing games. And if you look at the age, well, this actually reflects a couple of things. Well, first, it reflects that we're getting old, and we're all, going down this path. But also reflects that this is pretty much the demographic of people that play on Facebook and that play on mobile. This is the largest demographic for smartphones. And, well, and that's why this is the biggest demographic for gaming now. Another trend is mobile, naturally, smartphones in particular, made possible for people to play everywhere. And we just released today some data, and the data is pretty interesting. The data is we polled a large number of mobile gamers, and we asked them, where do you play? Well, more than half say that they play mobile games at home, and more than half say that their favorite device to play games when they're at home is mobile. So they play in bed. They play in front of the TV. Okay, they're sitting in front of the TV, and instead of playing on a console, they're playing on mobile or on a tablet. Well, this, I think, is important. It's probably not really good news for the console business. It's probably not really good news for the TV engagement because, well, you pay millions of dollars for advertising, and they're really playing Bejeweled, right? So I think signify a shift in patterns, a shift in the way people use games and their devices. And I think the underlying message is that mobile is now the #1 gaming device, and often the only gaming device for a lot of people. Now, mobile drove this trend, gaming everywhere, anywhere. Social drove another trend, which is that games are better with friends. Well, better in some cases, and in some cases they're more frustrating. So this is my Bejeweled Blitz leaderboard, and that's me, right? So I suck, okay? But Bejeweled Blitz is a game that is fun because I play with my friends. I play against my friends. Well, then most of my friends are better than me, but I do have an excuse. Half of these people work at PopCap, and so they spend all their day playing Bejeweled. So, that's why they're better than me. But wait, I work at PopCap too. Oh, dear. Anyway, those are the big trends. And this is why I think cross-platform gaming, and in particular cross-platform social and mobile gaming, is going to change gaming. The trends are, we have a huge audience, billions of people, and they play everywhere. They are on connected devices, so we can deliver social games, multiplayer games, online games. We can track what they do. We can improve our games. We can use metrics to know how they're playing our games, what they like, what they don't like, and that's very important. And on those devices, you have open, well, fairly open, and efficient platforms that allow for live game operation. Games are not products anymore. Games are services. Every single game that PopCap is developing is a service. Every single game that EA is developing is a service. Every single game that most game companies are developing now are services. And this is very important. Games are freemium. Barrier of entry, down. Before, you had to spend $60 or $20 for a PopCap game. Now you can try for free. If you like it, you play. If you play, probably sooner or later you're gonna pay, or at least you're gonna tell your friends to get this game. So that's great. Basically, we have more than 1 billion people that can try games for free, which is awesome. And finally, we can access your social graph. We know who your friends are, and we can connect you with them. Or on mobile, we can also connect you with people that you don't know in real life. And that's important, and I'm going to come back later to this. I'm going to come back later to this. Actually, I'm going to come back pretty soon to this. The second part of my presentation is about what we learn in 3 years of operating Bejeweled Blitz as a cross-platform social game. And as I said, Bejeweled Blitz is probably one of the oldest running social games. We launched at the end of 2008. We launched iPhone at the end of 2009. And finally, at the end of last year, we brought iPhone from premium to freemium. And that was a great move from us. Going from a premium game to a freemium game means that we're getting 10 times the number of players that we used to get before. It means that our average revenue on any given day is 5 times what it was before. So it has been very, very good for our business. And the game is still hanging there. It's in the top 10 Facebook games. It's in the top 10 iPhone top grossing games. And it's been one of the first games to integrate Facebook and iOS. So what we learn about with Bejeweled. One thing that we learn is that not all mobile players want to be social. When we launched Bejeweled Blitz on iPhone, we thought, well, it's a Facebook game. People know it because of Facebook. People enjoy it because of Facebook. We should require people to connect to Facebook. Everyone is going to want to connect to Facebook. Well, turns out that, yes, a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't on mobile. And the reason why they don't, there are different reasons, but mostly people on mobile, not everyone is comfortable with the idea of using their real identity to getting their friends, their boss, their colleagues to know they're playing on their mobile phone all the time. And they prefer to play with people that they don't know or just to play by themselves. And if you look at the downloads for Bejeweled Blitz, about 20% of people that download Bejeweled Blitz connect to Facebook. And if you look at the daily usage, about half connect and about half don't connect. And until June, the non-connect experience wasn't really good. It was a very basic experience because, again, we are saying, well, everyone is going to want to connect. And even though the experience was very limited, no friends, no tournament, no rare gems, only one boost, still people were playing. Every day, the same amount of people played connected to Facebook and non-connected. And so we launched Universal Mode. And Universal Mode is a way in which we are getting people that don't want to connect to Facebook to enjoy the full game. Now, we still want them to connect to Facebook. We still want to connect to Facebook for a couple of reasons. One, there is a network effect. The more users we get on Facebook or on iPhone, the more activity, the more you see your friends playing, the more Facebook viral notification you have, the more you're going to play. So that's important. The second is people connected to Facebook, on average, play more and spend more. And the reason is because Bejeweled Blitz is fundamentally a social game, and it's fun to compete against your friends. It's either fun or very frustrating, as you saw in my leaderboard. But still, we think it's very important on mobile to provide the best experience for Facebook-connected users and non-Facebook-connected users. Then we look at the metrics, and those are metrics for Facebook users or iOS users connected to Facebook. Well, our audience on iOS is smaller. It's about half of what we get on Facebook, also because we launch much later on iOS. But every other metric is pretty significant. Every other metric is basically 2 times what we see on Facebook. Talking about ARPU, talking about retention, percentage of paying users. The only one that looks the same is engagement. Well, looks the same, but is not the same. Because on Facebook, people play 1 or 2 very long sessions every day with a lot of games. On mobile, people play a lot of sessions with 1 or 2 games. And that's normal, because it's the play pattern on mobile. Mobile is always with you. And you're playing at home, on the bus, in the office, wherever you are. And so you play much more during the day, and you're able also to play with your friends during the day. So there is much more back and forth. But why? So why those metrics are 2x on mobile than on Facebook? Well, there are a few reasons, I think. One is, again, mobile is always with you, is always on, and we know that people play a very high number of Bejeweled games on the mobile phone every day, but they play over the course of the day, right? So they play from morning to evening and during the day. The second is the Apple ecosystem is very, very efficient. It's very good. Everyone that play your games on iOS has a credit card or another payment method on file. So everyone can buy currency in the game with 1 click. The Facebook environment it's really good, it's really profitable, it's improving every day, but not 100% of the players have a credit card or a payment method on file. And that makes a difference. And the third one is push notifications. Push notifications, if you use them well, if you don't annoy players, if you give them some reason to be interested in your push notification, are the single most valuable marketing tool for a mobile app. Retention and engagement can increase significantly if you use push notifications in the right way. And so what we try to do is we try to give some value. So we try to tell you when a tournament is starting, for example, when there is a particular event or sale. So stuff that wants you to it's like the game telling you, hey, I'm here, I'm Bejeweled Blitz, I'm fun, play me. And people do, and people like it. And it's the single biggest reason, I think, why retention is higher, is double on iOS than on Facebook. And finally, Bejeweled Blitz is a 1-minute game. 1-minute games are really well suitable for mobile play. If you're making a mobile game, it should be either a 1-minute game or a 2-minute game, or maybe just a game that you play in a few seconds, because otherwise people are not going to be able to play the whole session, because play patterns are very different on mobile. I think, OK, yeah. So, oops. No, it's the right one. So I believe there is a huge opportunity for cross-platform mobile and social gaming, but I also believe that you need to approach both platforms, mobile and web social, in different ways. You need to have teams that are dedicated to each platform and are approaching them in a way that allow you to make the most of every platform. So how they are different. So we already said about usage and session length. Well, interface. On web is mouse, on mobile is touch. Not every game can work for mobile and touch, so not every game can be a cross-platform social game. But if the game can, you should still make the best possible native interface for mobile and web, because interface is a big part of what will get people to try your game and to come back to your game. And then the social graph. Facebook games come with their own social graph. It's handy, There's no Facebook game without a social graph. On mobile, as we said, some people want to use the social graph, some people don't. The people that don't, Well, you should provide them with an interest graph. An interest graph is a way for you to match people with people they don't know, and they may even use a fake identity. It's not the real identity, but maybe they're similar skill or similar play patterns, and it's fun for them to play against each other. So I will absolutely advocate on mobile to use social graph and interest graph both. Then discovery. This might seem a minor issue, but on mobile, app stores are the main source of discovery. So people need to be able to find your game. And there are a lot of things that you can do in that sense. And literally, you can do virality, you can do cross-promotions, you can do paid acquisition, but at the end, you need to do a good job of getting people to find the game in the App Store. And literally, the best way is for the game to be on the top of the chart, but you need to get it there. Well, on Facebook, virality is by far the most important element. And virality on Facebook is very specific to Facebook, which means that those are features that you find only on the platforms. Those are features that change every week, every day, every month. And you need to be able to stay on top of them. So if you have a cross-platform game on social and mobile, well, having someone, a team or someone that thinks only about virality is a very good idea. And this team is going to be focusing mostly on the Facebook platform. Naturally, there's also Facebook mobile virality, but that's pretty much dependent on the web for now. Updates, that's the last one. And updates is where actually Facebook has a big advantage. On mobile, you need to submit a build and then get it approved by Google, by Apple, by Amazon. Might take a few days, might take a week. On Facebook, if you want to push code, you push code. And you just need to make sure that the game doesn't break and that you're not doing anything which is against the terms of service. But you can try. You can try different things. You can iterate. You can test. You can A/B test. You can ABCD test, as many letters as you want. And you can get data in real time. So if you want to do rapid prototyping, and if you want to grow a game and tweak it and make sure that the game is, has good metrics and people are enjoying the game, the web is still the best place to do that. So, so far, I've been really talking about the present and what we're doing, what other companies are doing. And now, in the last part of the presentation, I would like to go through a few things, a few directions in which I think cross-platform gaming is going. A couple of them are present, a couple of them are future, and Italy being future, it's just my opinion. They might turn out to be the real thing or not, but I think they're interesting to put to this audience to maybe help you with ideas or with the direction for your games. Where is cross-platform now? So cross-platform now is basically driven by a few games, a few successful games, Bejeweled Blitz being one, Wars with Friends, Some Pop, Diamond Dash, all games that are fun puzzle games or fun war games, and they're usually available on Facebook, iOS, now more and more Android. They present the same game experience. They may have some feature which is specific to a platform, but the core game experience is the same on every platform. And often they use Facebook Connect on mobile, but it's usually optional for the reason that I told you before. The interesting part is that all those games use asynchronous multiplayer as the core social mechanic. And why? Well, I think there are three main reasons for that. One is, well, there are a bunch of games out there that are being successful, and they're high in the chart by using asynchronous multiplayer. And in Italy, when you have a bunch of successful games, a lot of more games will try to use the same model. I think that's what Zynga will call a different way of innovate, or something like that. The other reason why I think most games use an asynchronous multiplayer model is because, especially when you're playing with friends, it's important to make sure that you can play. So you cannot wait for your friends to go online. You cannot call your friends and say, hey, connect now because we're going to play a game. That's a bad user experience. So you play, and then the friends play, and then you play again. The other advantage of this is that this is a great way for people to stay in touch during the day with their friends and with their families. So how much better is to stay in touch with your family by playing Bejeweled Blitz than to actually have to talk with your family. I mean, I think that's one of the key reasons of the success of the game, really. And it's really a new way to be social. It's actually, there are people that I only communicate with through games now. And is that a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know. But it's something that is very common and is happening right now. And the third one is, from a technical point of view, operation point of view, developing and maintaining an asynchronous game, it's easier than doing the same for a synchronous game. It's not easy at all. It's really complex, but it's a bit easier. Now, another thing that's happening right now, it's big publishers like EA or other publishers using social and mobile as companion for the big titles. And initially, it was a marketing push. You use Facebook or mobile to promote your game. Now, more and more, they're offering game experiences on those platforms that tie in with the main game. And it might be a puzzle game, a mini game. It might be a full vertical slice or a game. Right? Mass Effect, for example, shipped with a bunch of companion apps. One of them was a shooter on iPad. And by playing the shooter, you got some advantage in the game. My opinion is that this is going to keep going. The games are going to become bigger, more integrated. And I think this is still going to be optional. But I think a couple of years from now, if you want to get everything, anything that you can, outside of a AAA game, you will need to play the companion games on mobile and social. Otherwise, you will not get the full experience. Those platforms are going to become more and more important also for that kind of games. And now, I'll try, with the last couple of slides, I'll try to look into the future, which literally is always a bad idea. One thing that I think is happening, will happen more, is to see different games on different platforms with different teams connecting to a single backend. And naturally, you can get your profile, you can get your friend list, that kind of stuff in the backend. But I think more and more, you will get stuff like the choices that you made in games. You will get stuff like your play patterns, how you play, how do you prefer to play. And games will be able to access that and give you an experience, a playing experience which is unique. No game will be the same game for players. Right? Once you have a database with a lot of information about your players and you can access it, well, then you can really create custom-made games for your audience, which is pretty exciting. And the last one is a bit more, even a bit more. There is kind of the same thing, if you want, but it's a world where multiplayer games, massively multiplayer games, or even single-player games, told to a common backend, and those games live in the same universe, live in the same world, and they have a common economy. They have a common backend, they have a common story, and everything that anyone does in any of those games influences what happens in the other games. So you may have a resource management game on a platform, and this game is influenced by what happens in a strategy game in another platform. If a faction wins or loses, well, prices of resources might go up and down in the other one. It's a universe, it's a common universe, which I think opens a lot of opportunities. And I think this is something that I would like to see, and it's something that I think we're going to see a lot in the next few years. So just to close, I went through those things before, but I think we're seeing cross-platform gaming from mobile to social to be now a very profitable, very important, and massive business. But I think what we're going to see is that we're going to see that cross-platform is going to change the way we play. We're going to see new game genres. We're going to see games that adapt to what you do, to your history. We're going to see massive game worlds which are connected across platforms. And I hope that many of us in this room will make great games, because at the end, you can have all the platforms that you want, you can have all the technology that you want, but if your game is not fun, if your game is not great, it's probably not going to be anything interesting for your players. So yeah, I hope it was interesting. Thank you very much.